Diamonds are expensive because they're rare. That's the entire explanation. The one you've believed your whole life. The one sitting on someone's finger right now. But in 2018, researchers at MIT published a peer-reviewed geophysics study. Their finding? The deepest layers of Earth's continental crust likely contain 1 to 2% diamond by composition. 1 to 2% of the entire crust. That works out to roughly 1 quadrillion tons of diamonds sitting beneath your feet right now. So the question isn't why diamonds cost thousands of dollars. The question is, who convinced you they should, and why it worked? In 2024 alone, the world mined 118 million carats of diamonds. Not dozens, not hundreds, millions. And yet most people still think diamonds are disappearing from the earth. This is a $100 billion industry built on a single idea, that diamonds are rare. Here's why the rarity story is so easy to believe. Diamonds form 100 to 200 miles underground, under pressures exceeding 700,000 pounds per square inch, at temperatures that would melt steel. It takes billions of years. They reach the surface only through rare volcanic events, and most of those produce nothing commercially useful. The geology is real. The scarcity is not. Because what that MIT study found is something specific. All that geological difficulty describes the journey to the surface, not what's actually down there. The lead researcher put it plainly. Diamond is not an exotic mineral. On a geological scale, it is relatively common. The industry understood this perfectly. Didn't matter, because a company had already figured out that scarcity didn't need to be real. It just needed to be believed. First, the diamond engagement ring is an ancient tradition. It isn't. Betrothal rings go back to ancient Rome. Diamond engagement rings as a mass-market practice were invented in 1938 by a mining company with a sales problem. Second, diamonds hold their value. They don't. When you resell a diamond, you typically recover 25 to 50% of what you paid. In 1982, a journalist documented buying diamonds and trying to sell them 1 week later. He lost 62% of the purchase price in 7 days. Third, diamonds are priced by a free market. For most of the 20th century, one company controlled 80 to 90% of the world's rough diamond supply. In 2012, that company settled an antitrust lawsuit in the United States for $295 million. Historians believe the practice of betrothal rings goes back roughly 5,000 years. Ancient Egyptians braided them from hemp and reeds, a circle to represent eternity. In ancient Rome, the groom gave the bride an iron ring. Pliny the Elder documented the ceremony in the 1st century AD, a legal contract, not a romantic gesture. In 860 AD, Pope Nicholas I declared a gold ring a requirement for a valid engagement. Church doctrine now. Still no diamonds. Thousands of years pass. Still no diamonds. In 1477, Archduke Maximilian of Austria gave Mary of Burgundy the first documented diamond engagement ring, set with diamonds in the shape of the letter M. It sits in the museum in Vienna today. For the next 460 years, almost no one followed his example. Diamond rings stayed a rarity for the ultra-wealthy. Then diamonds were found in South Africa. Cecil Rhodes arrived at the mining fields at 18 and spent 2 decades buying out every competitor he could find. By 1888, De Beers Consolidated Mines controlled 90% of global diamond production. Rhodes died in 1902. The number had not moved. For most of the 20th century, De Beers ran the world's supply like a valve, a multi-billion-dollar stockpile held in reserve to control price. By 1938, diamond sales in the United States had collapsed. De Beers called an advertising agency in Philadelphia. The agency didn't need to change reality. They only needed to change what people believed. And for that, They relied on 4 psychological shortcuts that already existed in every human brain. The first lever is anchoring. When a situation is emotionally charged and the right answer is unclear, the brain latches on to the first number it encounters and treats it as a baseline. The number could be completely arbitrary. It becomes the reference point for everything that follows. The second is social proof. When people don't know how to behave, they watch what others do, automatically. Once enough people around you act like something is required, you feel the requirement without being told. The third is loss aversion. Once you own something, selling it feels like losing something, even when the sale would net you money. The longer you hold an object, the more its value warps in your mind. The fourth is the Veblen effect. For certain goods, a higher price increases desire rather than reducing it. The price itself becomes the signal. Status, commitment, love. Lower it, and the signal disappears. They ran all 4 simultaneously. The 2-month salary rule came from no tradition and no religion. A copywriter wrote it, repeated until it felt ancient. They put diamond stories in magazines. They paid celebrities to wear them. They sent speakers into schools to talk about romance. Everywhere people looked, the message was the same. Love means diamonds. By 1951, jewelers reported that a girl was not considered properly engaged without a diamond. A social norm, built in 13 years. Then the slogan. A diamond is forever meant one specific thing. Keep it. A robust secondhand diamond market would expose the real supply. De Beers needed those stones to stay in drawers forever. And they never cut prices, not even while sitting on a multi-billion-dollar stockpile of unsold gems. The expensiveness was not a side effect. It was the strategy. In 1940, 10% of American brides received a diamond engagement ring. By 1990, that number was 80%. But the clearest proof came from Japan. In 1967, De Beers launched a campaign in a country where diamond engagement rings had no cultural history at all. Japanese marriages were arranged through intermediaries. No ring tradition existed. None. That year, 5% of Japanese brides received a diamond. 14 years of targeted advertising later, the number was 60%. Japanese men were spending 3 to 4 months' salary on rings. More than Americans. De Beers hadn't found a tradition. They had installed one in a culture that had never wanted it in 14 years. In 1947, a copywriter at N.W. Ayer named Frances Garrity sat late at her desk and wrote 4 words on a piece of paper. A diamond is forever. Her colleagues were skeptical of the phrasing. De Beers ran it anyway, starting in 1948. For the next 63 years, it appeared in every engagement advertisement the company produced. In 1999, Advertising Age named it the #1 advertising slogan of the 20th century. 90% of Americans reportedly knew it. Frances Garrity died that same year at 83. She had never been married. The line that taught a century of people that real love required a specific stone was written by someone who had never owned one. So why does the rock cost $5,000? Not because it's rare. 1 quadrillion tons are sitting under your feet right now. Not because tradition demands it. This tradition launched less than 90 years ago, in a boardroom. Not because a free market set the price. One company controlled the world's supply for most of a century and settled a price-fixing lawsuit within your lifetime. The diamond is expensive because 90 years of very precise engineering made you feel like it had to be. The scarcity was manufactured. The tradition was manufactured. The price was manufactured. For nearly a century, the industry wasn't selling diamonds. It was selling the meaning attached to them. The love you were trying to express with it, that part was never made in a lab.